What's up everyone, this is Chris, and today we're going to be working on the E39 Wagon. We're going to be installing aftermarket air suspension. So this car came equipped with the factory air suspension. I'm going to show you how that system works. And then we're going to be installing some new airbags, which are manually adjustable using a remote kit. So thanks for tuning into today's video, and without further ado, let's get to work. So here we have the factory air system. You'll find this mounted in the trunk where the spare tire is. It's actually going to be mounted under. So your spare tire would go on top of this unit right here and then be held down. This is actually where the compressor is housed, and I'm not sure if there's an air tank in here, but there are these 3 bolts that house the unit, and for some reason I can't loosen these. I think there's like a nut on the back end, but that's no matter because we don't need this system. Over here we have our air management from factory. You can see the connector right here, and also there's one inside of this box. This manages the air and sends the pressure to the left or right airbags. So here's what one of the airbags looks like. It kind of has like a sleeve type airbag to it, and then you've got an air fitting up here. This air fitting goes to this connector, which goes to an auxiliary tank, I'll call it, and that holds the excess pressure and actually allows us to plug in our air from the fittings that come on the management. Now, I'm not opposed to these air ride kits. I think that the cars usually ride pretty well, and it's cool to have the auto leveling feature. There is going to be a level sensor that's on the control arm, which tells the car how high or how low it is, and it is able to increase or lower the air pressure in the bag accordingly, so that way the car can stay level. What you do notice is that these bags tend to tear or they start leaking air, and then you'll notice after parking the car for a few days that it'll start leaking, and that is one of the most common failure points on these, is just the airbags. But they're not that hard to change. Actually, you can change them without any special tools, just by removing the wheel. You don't have to do any other work. I think maybe removing the strut would help as well, but these come compressed and then you can slide them out away from the car. So this is what the factory air system looks like. Let's take a look at how our aftermarket kit is going to work. Now here's our aftermarket air kit. You'll see that we have our springs. They look a little bit different than the factory ones. And then we have our air manifold, which distributes the air, looks a little different. A relay to grab some power and send it to our compressor. And then we've got a remote, which is going to wirelessly control this. So that way everything's going to be housed in the back of the car, in the spare tire well, where everything was originally. And this remote is going to give us manual control of the rear bags. Eventually we're going to be doing front airbags, and then we'll have to upgrade this air system. This kit is made by Airlift Company, not Airlift Performance. They make air management kits for truck springs, and these aren't exactly meant for car air springs because it'll take a while for the car to go up and down. But I'm not so worried about that because this is just going to be for the rear of the car. If you're wondering, this is what the compressor looks like that's in that box. It's a pretty small compressor, and it's got one little nozzle right here, but you know, this keeps the system pretty simple. What I do like is in the future, since this is just standalone, I could get a more beefy compressor so that I could quickly raise and lower the car. Now I'm going to show you guys how this airbag kit is going to assemble. This is what's known as a universal cup kit. So this is just to give more space between where the top of the spring and the bottom of the spring is going to perch itself. This piece right here goes on top, and it's going to slip around our air fitting, and then it's going to bolt to these 2 holes that are on the top of the bag. On the bottom side, we're going to be using this plate adapter, and 1 bolt is going to go through the middle here, and also going to secure itself to the bottom spring perch of the car. And I'll show you how this works in a second. So here's what the air spring looks like installed. It's stretched a little bit because the strut is pushing down on the axle, and that's causing the spring to stretch a little bit. So this is what full extended height looks like. You can see the bottom plate mounted down there. It has to be bolted to the lower spring perch so that the spring never jumps out during a jump or during a bump in the road or something crazy like that. And up here at the top, it's the same story as well. There's a heavy duty washer which would keep the air spring from moving up top, and that's the whole setup. We're going to be using one of the small holes here in the frame to route our plastic air pipe up into the chassis of the car, and then we'll be routing it down to where our air compressor is going to sit. So here we've got most of the air management system routed now here in the trunk. I'm doing this as sort of a temporary install just so that we can get the car off of jack stands and get wheels on it and test how this system works. So we've got our power wire, which is fused, and it's actually running into the harness for the original air management. We've got our connector that's going to go to the compressor. The compressor is ground right here. The relay here is ground as well. And then we're going to have this connector up on the manifold, and the manifold is what brings the air from the compressor and then to the T, which goes to both air springs. So give me a second to finish routing all these lines and wires. Then we're going to put the wheels on the car, get it on the ground, and see if it works. So here comes the moment of truth. As you can see, the car is pretty dang low. I think that there was some air pressure in the bags that's keeping it from going all the way low right now, because I can bounce on the car and it'll go lower and bounce around. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect the battery, go inside the car, turn on the key, and then we're gonna come out here and press some buttons and hope that this thing goes up. Let's see if this M5 cluster lights up. Okay, 121,000 miles. Oh, buddy, doesn't that just look beautiful? So now the key is on. I haven't heard the compressor turn on yet. Let's go see what's going on over there. All right, let's see. Around. I guess I should check for power. All right, so quick update. I got my voltage tester out, and turns out that the red wire that I thought would be an accessory power is not actually accessory power. I'm guessing this is the main supply voltage for the pump, so it's not gonna be always on accessory, which means we're gonna have to find another power line. I think what we're gonna have to do for now, since the accessory isn't working like I thought, we're just gonna tap directly into the battery source so we can get some air in these bags and test how the system works. So update, we did a direct connection to the battery, so now we're gonna hook up our ground. Let's see what happens. There you go. I guess it was already set to the high setting. So it looks like it was successful. Now let's drop it all the way down and see what happens. Wow, that's some serious tuck right there. Dropped on the ground. So now that we were able to get the car on the ground, I could move it forward, finally open up this lift gate, and now I can show you some more details inside here. So everything works as it should. I'm pretty happy with the setup. It's gonna work for now. As I said, later we'll be doing a better air management kit, but this is a great solution. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video, especially for you touring guys that are following along. I'm sure you had some questions about the air suspension, so I hope you learned something. Like, comment, and subscribe, as cliche as that sounds, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.